afternoon, and welcome to the Lyric Professors. I am Professor A, and I am joined, as always, by behind me and below me, doing a spinning dervish impression, is Professor Dogger, and we are joined, as always, by Professor J from the other side of the world. How are things on the other side of the world, Professor J?
It's chilly willy over here.
All right.
It's suddenly gone super cold, but yes, it's good. It's rocking. Today I am modeling my Yamaha Guitarlele GT1.
Oh, right.
GT1? GL1, sorry, GL1. Do you know what a guitarlele is?
It's a guitar that looks like a ukulele.
It is exactly that. It's a ukulele size guitar, so it's half size, but it's 6-string.
Because a
So it
ukulele
actually
would be
makes it,
4-string, would it?
yeah, and it's a different. You can basically play a ukulele like a guitar and just imagine you're playing the top 4 strings.
Sure.
Although it goes high, low, higher, higher with a ukulele, whereas this is strung exactly the same
Sure.
as a guitar, so it makes it much easier to play. And in fact, this was my travel guitar for quite a while. It fits when I did a lot of business travel. This would fit into a large size suitcase just about, and you can see it's been, maybe you can't see, but it's been squished a few times by the baggage handler guys. But it's a really, really handy little guitar. It used to live in my boot as well.
All right. You're talking about your car rather than your shoe.
Yes, the trunk.
Yes.
My automobile for our American cousins.
Yes.
Anyway, no chord, it's just a guitar today. There we are.
Excellent. Yes.
Guitar.
You actually played that on a few of the songs we recorded, some cover versions, didn't you?
We did. Wasn't there a
Ill Devil by the Cult was one of them.
yeah.
And
wasn't there like a placebo song or something?
I don't think so. Another one we did was Land Down Under by whatever they're called.
Midnight Oil.
The other one.
No.
I live in
the other Australian band. There's only 2,
band.
right?
Yeah, it's definitely only 2. No, I can't remember. Men at Work. Men at Work.
Men at Work.
That would be the one.
There we go.
Anyway, yes.
Did we do Muse? Didn't I do Hysteria on it?
No, it wasn't Hysteria. It was
Plug-in Baby.
Supermassive Black Hole, I thought.
No, it was Plug-in Baby.
I don't think it was. We'll have a look through the archives anyway. It's not important, and nobody cares except us. Right. So today is our traditional post-long multi-part video episode, and we are going to be talking about The Turning of Our Bones by Arab Strap. Do you know anything about Arab Strap or Straps, Professor J?
Do I or did I? So I was aware of them. I was aware of Arab Strap, but I'd never knowingly actually listened to anything by them. I mean, maybe I had, but I don't know. So, I mean, let's go through the definition. Arab Strap are a Scottish indie rock band. Basically, it's 2 guys, right? It's Aidan Moffat and Malcolm Middleton. There's a lot of M's there.
There is.
M.
Be the better name, really, wouldn't
it? So they got together in 1995. They had their first album in 1996, and then they played together extensively up until about 2006 when they split up, and they reformed in 2016. So let's start where we have to start, right? So why are they called Arab Strap, and what is an Arab Strap?
You're throwing that one to me.
Well, I can answer it.
I think you should answer that one.
So,
being a medical person at one point.
So an Arab Strap is a device that is worn around the male member, usually at the base of said male member, and the purpose of it is to restrict the blood flow to prolong tumescence.
There's a word.
And they can actually be used for medical devices, for medical purpose, for people who have dysfunction in that area. Yeah, but do you know why they chose that odd
I don't know why
name
they
for the,
chose it. I guess they wanted to be vaguely shocking, and that's what most
yeah,
bands do things for, isn't it? Really?
yeah. I mean, so Arab Strap, a classic for this very it's kind of it's a bit house. It's kind of like a housey beat with guitar, and then kind of spoken word lyrics over the top. Would you
Yeah,
say it's like that?
not always. In this song we're doing, it's certainly spoken word, but he does
Hmm.
occasionally attempt to sing. But yeah, mostly it's intoned in his Scottish accent. I think he has a great voice for this. He'd be great for voiceovers too. I think.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, yeah, I really admire the spoken word bits, especially. Very-
I mean, I would say um, that they are either heavily influenced or they stole from our previous work. Now, what do you call it when the artist that steals your work actually steals it before you've made it? What is that
Um,
called?
I think it's called psychic plagiarism.
There we go. That's the
Hmm.
one. We might hear about that in a couple of episodes times too when we get onto EVP. Might be exciting for some of you.
All right. Okay.
Maybe you've not done your research for that one yet.
No, I haven't.
Yeah. So my point being, we've got a couple of songs that are very
Mm,
much like this style. So they're I think their biggest successful song was "The Weekend,"
mm, yes.
which is, they were both pretty much party guys. We've said they're from Scotland. They're from Glasgow specifically, I believe.
Falkirk.
Falkirk. Okay, Falkirk. But they were kind of on the Glasgow scene. Have I got that in my mind,
I
or am I
think
getting
that's right.
confused?
Yes.
Yeah. And they lived in their 20s. They lived a pretty hedonistic lifestyle, but like most 20 somethings in the 90s.
Yes.
And this song, "The Weekend," is kind of describing all the hijinks that they got up to, what they did, all those sort of things. So that for me is their classic thing. But it sounds very much like two of our earlier works,
Yes.
notably the Mitgiftjager, which
Oh yes. Of course.
is actually the retelling of an evening out with
Yes.
myself and a female German friend.
And it's her vocals on
It's
that
her
one.
vocals, Sabina, if you're watching, hello.
Yes.
Um, and the other one is the ultraviolet eyes of the butterfly.
Yes. Which was about
It was an email I sent.
Michael Jackson, was it?
Michael Jackson is in there because we are discussing the TV. It is actually directly taken from an email that I sent to a girl that I was very briefly dating. And if you listen to the song, you'll understand why it was so very brief. But yes, the same thing. So you're reading that email
Yes.
over the top of sort of very much guitar-focused music.
And
So
we
they've stolen our sound
recently, of
before
course,
we did it.
Fractured.
Oh
And,
yes, of course.
our theme music
Yes.
for this podcast, which of course you haven't heard the spoken word bits because we've only used the opening guitar beat. But at some point, very soon, it shall be appearing on our sister channel, Wildest Skies at Wildest Skies. So look forward to that.
Link below,
Yeah, well, it's
presumably.
links up here on the screen at the top
Okay,
left.
there we go.
Yes, yeah, they're also known for what the NME magazine described as "fly on the duvet vignettes,"
Mm,
sordid, personal yet honest lyrics.
yeah, and very much with a broad, I don't know if broad's the right word, but a strong Scottish accent.
Yes.
Um, brooding.
Mm,
I like the guitar sound. I notice on the more recent stuff and some of the solo stuff that the guitarist has done, he's playing a Gretsch, and I like that very deep sound. I was expecting to go back and look at the original Arab Strap stuff, and it's actually not a Gretsch. I was a bit disappointed since I've
right.
got my new Gretsch, my new old
Yes, yes,
Gretsch over
yes.
there.
Yeah.
So after Arab Strap, during this time between 2006 and 2016, they did other stuff. For example, Moffat records as a solo artist under the name Lucky Pierre. You know what Lucky Pierre?
Only from looking at the wiki page, it's something about being the third man in a homosexual relationship or something. I don't know.
Well, the one in the middle. That's why he's lucky. Yep, and the guitarist and who is Middleton, right? He has a group, or it's kind of like a side project, which is called. I'm pausing because I can't find it. Humans Be Kind. Do you remember what it's called?
No, I don't. I haven't actually got that in my notes, but I do remember hearing it fairly recently. I have no idea why.
Yeah. Wonder why that is.
I think we're going to have to come clean here, aren't we? This is our second recording of this episode, and we will be using parts of the first recording interspliced with this one because we had horrible technical problems. It was, in fact, an omni-shambles of an event. But last time I heard what Malcolm Middleton's side project was called because Professor J did know it and did say it. So that's what happened there.
And amazingly, I seem to have lost that, and I'm quickly trying to find it, and I can't even find it now. Humans Don't Be Angry. There we go. Human Don't Be Angry. And I really like it. It's kind of him on his own with a guitar and a looper, and it's a Gretsch with a looper pedal.
Of course it is.
There we go. Okay, so, and I think it's important to go through that history because the song that you have chosen for us.
Yes, The Turning of Our Bones. I should just say that although as with Professor J, I was aware of their existence since the 90s, I hadn't really listened to anything they'd done until September 2022 when the TV series Karen Pirie came out, and this song was the theme song. Karen Pirie is a character created by Val McDermid, the famous Scottish crime writer, and the TV show's great. I think there's a second series coming very soon, or probably already happened by the time this gets released. And yeah, I was just blown away by this song being played over the credits. I had to look it up immediately. Like it a lot. And the rest of their stuff too. I've listened to a lot more now.
This is kind of their first sort of big single after their reformation, would you say?
Oh yeah, this was the first thing they released after that.
Yeah. Even though they got back to get, they says they reformed in 2016, but this was released in 2020, I believe.
Yeah, they got back to perform live in 2016. This was their first release. Yeah, and in fact, in November 2017, after they got back together, they played at the Iceland Airways Festival in Reykjavik in November 27. And Moffat told a fan after the show that that was going to be their last ever gig. But things changed apparently.
They do change.
Yes.
And you've chosen this one because it's got a crazy video. So
it does. Yes.
Stop, watch the video. There'll be a link there.
And then I will recount it, possibly wearing different clothes. I can't remember what I was wearing last week. And then we will.
There was a hat involved, I seem to remember.
Was there? Right, yes. Yes, that often happens when I'm having a bad skull day. Like today, in fact, but I couldn't find it. Yes, so enjoy the video. Enjoy
editing Professor A. Put in old Professor A, previous Professor A.
Yes,
and magic.
Previous Professor A will give you a 3,500 word rundown of everything that happens in this video, and we will see you on the flip side.
What should we do? Should we dive straight into the video?
I think we're going to have to. I think we'll have to quick explanation of the video. The video is a series of intercut clips from B-movie horror films, I'd say. I've managed to identify two of them, although there's probably quite a lot more of them in there. And one of them is a movie called Grave of the Vampire from 1972, which we will have a little discussion on after I've been through the video itself, because there's an interesting point to it. And the other one is an Italian horror film from 1972 called Frankenstein 80. Presumably 80 was really futuristic in 1972. So yeah. So I might refer to characters, or I will refer to characters from them during the recap. The main character from Grave of the Vampire is a Caleb Croft, and the main, well, the Frankenstein one is obviously a retelling of the Dr. Frankenstein myth, but the monster's called Mosaic, so I will refer to him as Mosaic.
Okay.
And now, shall we begin?
Go for it.
A grave marked Croft in a misty cemetery. A skull with a lit black candle stuck in the top sits on a concrete floor adorned with sigils and the names Damballa and Samedi, or Vidun Lower. I can't speak today, this is not going to go well. A darkened cinema, wherein a film plays. A masked doctor, forensic pathologist with blood-stained clothes, pulls back the sheet covering a corpse who has a bloody wound in his chest, presumably a Y incision from an autopsy. Cut to a close-up of a red light mounted on a wall. The light begins to flash, flash, flash. Three men in gas masks and other protective clothing run along a corridor towards a red door, passing the red light, which is actually really tiny. Close-up was big, actual red light really tiny. Doesn't matter. Cut. That's very, very nice. Thank you, Professor. Cut. Cataclysmic storm imagery. Lightning flashes. Ominous guitar music builds. Back to the grave. We see the full name is Caleb Croft. The lid of the grave begins to lift. Inside, or at least in a small space festooned with cobwebs, we see a shirt-cuffed hand with a large spider crawling across it. Cut back to the pathologist from before. He stands above the now fully uncovered corpse with a scalpel in hand. The body has a huge incision from the left side down to his pubic region, which you don't see. Close-up of pathologist's masked face. He has a look of determination in his eyes. Close-up of corpse's head. His face and neck is covered in incision scars, and he has electrodes attached to his skull. Ladies and gentlemen, do we have ourselves a Dr. Frankenstein? Yes, we do. The pathologist opens a fridge door and removes a bottle of bright blue liquid, which he places on a trolley. It is labelled Serum Schwartz or Schwartz. Sorry. Ominous guitar music builds with disco beats. A woman in a white dress sits up inside a coffin. Cut. Misty graveyard. Two people walk unsteadily. Behind them, a grasping hand emerges from the ground. Cut. To the inside of a cinema. A young woman, intent on the screen, munches popcorn. Another random man is shown in the cinema for no apparent reason. Cut. Inside a monochromatic sewer. A shadow moves along the wall. Cut. Graveyard. A young couple wander. Cut. Exterior of cinema. Billboard advertises Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye, which is another film from 1950. Cut. A different young couple leave the cinema. A poster advertises Rebel Without a Cause from 1955, and another advertises Stanley and Livingstone from 1939. Up to date cinema. Back inside the cinema, a movie theatre for our American listeners, a film is showing a coffin lid being lifted. This is presumably inside Caleb Croft's tomb. A very dead-looking man in a black suit and tie is revealed. The young couple in the graveyard kiss between the gravestones. How romantic. Inside the cinema, yet another couple. A man leans in for a kiss. Cut. Back to the sewer. Now we see a man staggering along, presumably the supplier of the previous shadow. Looks like Caleb Croft to me. It isn't, because we cut back to Caleb Croft emerging from his tomb and examining his bewebbed hands. Back in the cinema interior, a mustachioed man and a non-mustachioed woman stare at a screen. Couple number 3 have a bit of a kiss in the cinema. On the cinema screen, Cece is fully out of his tomb now and walking stiffly away. Back in the cinema, Popcorn Girl is still entranced by the screen. Suddenly, she turns her head to the left. I think I'm mirrored, aren't I? So that doesn't work. She turns her head to the left anyway and looks at a man a couple of seats away. The man has blood running down his cheek from his eye. Eek! He stares at her. She turns back towards the screen. On screen, a random zombie-type chap tries to climb some stairs. Popcorn Girl turns to her right. One or the other. A woman a couple of seats away is also bleeding from her eyes. The woman turns to stare at Popcorn Girl. Someone with long hair zombie staggers somewhere. On screen, a couple kiss again, presumably the graveyard couple this time. Cut to a man looking out of a car window. Someone, presumably Caleb Croft, tears the car door off. Random explosion out of nowhere. Instrumental section with congas and synth. Zombie in an alleyway punches himself in the face. Back in the cinema, but I think it's a different screen, so because the seats look different. So separate screens in cinemas. So there's a bunch of kids looking scared in their particular screen. Then there's a sort of white blobby thing. No idea what that is. Then there's an impassioned saxophone solo. Then blood-covered zombie. Presumably he's blood-covered. Himself in the face.
It says impassioned on the.
Yes, I'm reading out the subtitles because it's easier.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't
it?
it?
Anyway,
like
this blood-covered zombie, who's presumably blood-covered because we just saw him punching himself in the face, bursts through the screen. This is the second screen with the scared kids, not the first screen with the popcorn girl and the kisses. There is much runnage, much noping occurs. Back to pathologist operating on his corpse. We see a close-up of an old-fashioned ECG or something similar, which shows the signs of life. Cut back to pathologist. Drink some tea. Cut to woman looking in a microscope, then looking up. Cut! Blood-faced zombie looks scary. Cut! Back to original cinema screen. Popcorn girl runs. She has dropped her popcorn. She tries to get out, but the door won't open. Screamage occurs. Close-up of something I can't identify, but is very unpleasant. Close-up of something I can't identify, but is roiling with maggots. Ick. Close-up of some wriggling earthworms, because why not? A naked woman lies on a bed. Caleb Croft stares at her through the window. A spine against a black background. A pointer moves across it. Another bone. The pointer moves across the bone and then moves on to press a woman between the shoulder blades. No idea. Not at all. But Mosaic, as you remember, is old Frankenstein's monster. He's all better now. He walks to a doorway. He approaches a naked woman on a bed. I think this is a different naked woman on a different bed, but I could be wrong. She smiles nervously at him, as you would. You see a man looking intently. Perspective changes to show that he's looking through the eyes of a portrait into the next room. Gory zombie confronts blonde woman, who may or may not be the one who was looking in a microscope earlier. She rummages in her purse and offers him a small vial of pink liquid. Quick flashback to the blue liquid bottle from the pathologist's fridge. Cut to Pan? A demon? No idea. Green skin, dodgy goatee, warns the lot. A golden chalice full of blood is handed to him by an unseen figure. Caleb Croft, meanwhile, has draped a guy over a gravestone and is exsanguinating him from the neck. I think it's the lad from the exploding car. And drains his drink. Cut to gory zombie type, whose face pulses in a particularly unpleasant way. A bare-chested man throws open some double doors. He looks angry. He might be Johnny Portrait Viewer from earlier. He might not. He is followed by a blonde woman who may or may not be Microscope Woman. Mosaic confronts a couple in their home. They are terrified. Man punches Mosaic on the chin. Nope, no effect. Woman screams. Two different men fight somewhere else. A blonde woman looks shocked. A man picks up a jar of something from a row of apothecarial whatnots. Zoom in. It is the serum Schwartz bottle from the pathologist's fridge. It's empty now. Microscope woman remonstrates with some man or other, while another completely new character, her doctor type, stands behind her. The first man reaches into his pocket and produces a gun. A gun! An old-school American police car drives down a rainy street, while a man in a white suit walks alongside outside a discount store. Apocalyptic guitar solo. Man stops.
My favourite bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Man stops and looks at another man lurking outside a locked-up store on the other side of the street. White suit man nods and walks away. Cut. Back to graveyard. Bomb goes. Dead begin to climb out of the earth. White suit man takes a puff of a cigarette. He looks up and sees 6 people clustered in an alley. They all look a bit zombie-y, to be fair. I think I recognise a moustache from the cinema on one of them. Although, 70s, 80s moustache. Who knows? Graveyard! Overcoated man lifts the lid of CC's grave and finds his coffin empty. CC appears and grabs the man by his throat. Disco beats with bongos. White suit man runs down the street, past the windows of a clothing store. He looks back to see the zombie lads and lasses following him. CC and Overcoat fight by the tomb. A police car pulls up to the cinema. There is a crowd of people. Police get out. CC has finished Overcoat off. Police try to establish order. Police go into cinema, led by gunman from before. Aha, he must be a detective. CC sucks the blood of his victim. Police by their car. They are shooting. Ooh, a crowd of zombies is moving steadily towards them.
It's different police, isn't it? It's UK police and US police mixed up, right?
Yes, we'll get into that.
Okay.
White suit hides behind a car. Detective approaches the screen the zombie came through. The smaller second screen. Picture of Caleb Croft and the dead guy. Zombie horde approaching the shooty cops. Stirring strings. The detective searches around in the cinema, screen 2. And we see some people burying or exhuming a coffin, hard to tell. Detective looks down and sees gory mess of a dead man between seats. Coffin is carried through an archway. Guess they were exhuming them. Family stands by church altar. They all look round the entrance to the church, seeming scared. Body under sheet, presumably dead, sits up. Family near altar legs it out the side exit. Body sits up fully and sheet falls down. Yeah, she plenty dead. Random nun crosses herself somewhere. Random scantily clad woman writhes about a bit on a rock surrounded by flowing water. Why? No idea. Pouring rain. A figure emerges on the side of a bridge with trees around. It wears a white robe and has a big old ginger wig. Its face and hands are painted, the hands to show skeletal bones, while the face is jet black with white lips, huge white ringed pools of darkness for her eyes. It's all gone a bit lucha libre here. Figure does a bit of a dance. A naked woman somewhere else also does a bit of a dance. Looks voodoo-y. Cut to a man with vampire teeth. Maybe Caleb Croft, may not. I'm losing track here. Detective examines dead guy further. Gory zombie lad waves his arm and grabs Detective by shoulder. Detective appears scared, as you might. Caleb Croft is fighting someone else now. Cut to one of the shooty cops. He looks at his partner. Oopsie. Partner has the blood running from his eyes, Dubry. Man opens fridge. It may or may not be the pathologist's fridge. Ooh, it has a severed head in it. No clue whose. Mosaic is fighting someone. Possibly portrait viewing chap. Gory zombie is trying to murderize the detective. Detective tries to shoot him. Gun no worky. Mosaic is beating someone with a big old thigh bone. No idea if it was previously attached to the BT. Everyone is fighting someone. 3 shooty cops, presumably not the same lot wherein one got infected, burst into the cinema area and shoot at gory zombie guy who disappears backstage. These, as you said, are in different uniforms, which does look English, but this is from Frankenstein 80, I think, so it's probably Italian. But anyway.
They've got like the checkerboard design.
Oh, I don't. It doesn't matter. I've got 6,000 more words to get through. White suit is still alive, hiding behind the car. He runs off up the street as all the zombies appear to be busy eating the shooty cop who wasn't the shooty cop who got transformed. Someone walks across some grass. Someone gets pulled through a hedge backwards. Family who escaped from something or other at the church arrive home. Dad shows the kids inside, then turns to stare at a tree. Woman walks through supermarket. There are a bunch of zombies chowing down at the butcher's counter. Woman makes a well-practiced ew face. One of the zombies, with liver hanging from his mouth, looks up and sees her. Underneath a pier, soaking wet man and woman look back to see zombies approaching them. He has a wound on his arm. Zombie, close-up of the zombies approaching. Close-up of a different blonde woman. Close-up of a new redhead who touches the blonde on the shoulder. Blonde woman's head falls off, as they do. Didn't see that one coming. Redhead screams, as one may very well do in such an event. Man climbs into sewer gully, leaving bloody handprints. Woman chopping up meat at a meat counter. Different meat counter to before. Sad piano. Oops, Mosaic is standing behind the choppy up meat woman. Ah, Wetsuit didn't get away clean. He's facing off a horde with a pipe or some such. The horde pauses to eat someone on the floor. Gory zombie wanders in the sewers. CC and someone or other continue to fight. Detective has solved his gun problem by getting a much bigger gun. He gives orders to his shooty cops as they prepare, presumably, to pursue gory zombie. Mosaic looks at meats on the counter. He focuses on the brain. The woman working at the counter is no longer visible, so these meats may well have been her. Detective has found gory zombie. He shoots at him. Ooh, the new gun is some kind of gas or cryogenic thing. It sprays white clouds out. Very exciting. Gory zombie falls to his knees. CC and the man fight. Think CC may be losing. Guitar and synth outro. Oh, what a wonderful, blessed word outro is. Gory zombie attempts to climb ladder but falls down. Pathologist looking at mosaic, presumably a flashback. CC loses the fight and falls down some stairs, presumably dying. His face ages instantly. Shooty cops open manhole cover. Still looking for gory zombie. Graveyard. Dead begin to sink back into the earth. Pathologist turns off the light, illuminating mosaic. A vampiric woman goes back to her grave and someone puts the lid on. Back to the cinema. A crowd watched a naked woman having a bit of a wiggle from before on the screen. On-screen woman stops wiggling, exits some doors and closes them behind her. An elderly couple watch the screen. Fan. I'm done. I
You
think I've
did some
probably done.
extensive research there.
Yeah.
Extensive, not research, but wording. I was watching along with you.
Thank you. I hope everyone appreciates that. Alternatively, you could just, follow the link down below and watch the video.
Yeah, the link. I mean, it's a heck of a video, right?
It is. Dude, we're back. How about that? Wasn't that fun? I enjoyed that greatly. Wow. So,
heck of a video, huh?
Yeah, really good.
So why did you choose this video? I mean, okay, we like the song, and you heard it in the TV. Why did you choose this incredibly difficult to describe video?
Yeah, because I didn't think that through properly, basically. I just like the video. I like the way it's several old B horror movies interspliced. I think it's quite clever. I think it's a good use of what, according to Wikipedia, etc., seems to be movies that have passed into the public domain. I think it's quite clever. I managed to identify 2 of the movies that we used, and I think there's probably about 5 or 6 different films used, intercut. But I identified 2 of them. The first being, gotta find my notes in the wrong place. Oh, this is so professional. Aren't you amazed by how professionality I am? I'm still scrolling. We'll get there soon. Professional, oh, for God's sake. It's about the character Caleb Croft, who is mentioned in the recap as he's the guy who's in the grave at the start. And the film is called Grave of the Vampire. Should have been able to work that one out, shouldn't I? So 1972.
I mean, all the 70s horror movies are you could do a bingo thing, couldn't you?
You could, yeah.
Grave of the Vampire from the Crypt.
Yes, yeah. Anyway, this one is it's an interesting one because it's got a bit of a strange, possible urban legendy thing about it. To say, it was made in 1972. It was directed by John Hayes. It starred William Smith, Michael Pataki, and Lynn Peters. Its plot follows a vampire who does something we're not allowed to speak about to a living woman, resulting in the birth of a child who feeds only on blood. Now, the interesting part is that every page that mentions this, including Wikipedia and imdb.com, so, it must be true, obviously. They all state that it's based on a novel called The Still Life by David Chase. And you know who David Chase is, don't you, Professor J?
He wrote something.
Yes, he's a creator and writer of many episodes of The Sopranos. That's what you're trying to.
No, I wasn't going to say that. Do you know what I was going to say?
No.
Rodney and Del Boy. What's that?
Oh, right. Yes, that's Only Fools and Horses. No.
Yeah, I thought it was.
No, I mean, it's just as likely, to be fair, but yeah. So anyway, they all claim this is written on an early novel called The Still Life by David Chase. The fact is, no one's ever read this book or seen this book. It's not for sale anywhere. It's not mentioned in biographies of David Chase or whatever. Yeah, so there are rumours that he wrote this, but it might just be an urban legend. This movie was made for $50,000. It's quite good that it's got an urban legend behind it. It was also reissued as Seed of Terror, which you can work out from the description they just gave.
So that's a US an American film, right?
Yes.
Because it was really notable to me that there was British movies as well as
Yeah, one of them's
American movies, because you can tell by the cops, right?
Yes, yeah. One of them's British, but I don't know what that one is. The other one I managed to identify is an Italian movie called Frankenstein 80, which was released in 1973, I think. Obviously, 1980 was a
futuristic.
Exactly, yes. I couldn't think of a cooler name than Frankenstein 80. I don't have any details of who starred in it or whatever. I know it was released on, that was 1970.
John Richardson, Zero Papas, Renata the Romano, Dalila Paca, Anna Odessa, Bob Fitz, Renata Casque, Dada Gallotti, Madrisa Traversi, Enrico De Rossi, Fulvio Mingozzi, Gordon Mitchell, Luigi Bonos. There you go.
Well, thanks for that. Yeah, it was released in 1972, actually, and it was on Cauldron Films. And the plot is that Professor Schwartz, who is the pathologist at the beginning, I believe. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's the one. Professor Schwartz, who we probably don't see in the clips concluded in the video, makes a serum that helps transplant patients better accept their new organs. We see the blue liquid coming out of the fridge in the recap is labeled Serum Schwartz. Dr. Frankenstein, for it is he is the pathologist, that's right. He steals this serum and uses it when he's creating his monster, his greatest creation. And the monster is called Mosaic for some reason, which is different. So that's why I refer to Mosaic throughout the recap. Other movies, don't know. At least one of them, as we know, is British because of the cops. But we don't know what they are. I don't anymore. So if anyone wants to find out and do some sleuth work and post it down below, that would be awesome.
I mean, they're very 70s, aren't they? All these.
Oh yeah, they're all 70s.
Yeah. So Dada Gallotti, who was one of the female stars in Frankenstein 80, has been in a wonderful list of movies. Can I just give you some of these movies?
Please do.
Okay. Romulus and the Sabines. Taras Bulba, the Cossack. Samson versus the Giant King. Hercules and the Treasures of the Incas.
What? What's that one?
This is my favorite one. Left-handed Johnny West.
Oh dear.
Zorro in the Court of England. God in Heaven, Arizona on Earth. Oh, and Confessions of a Frustrated Housewife.
Oh, that lad, right.
No, but actually it's the Italian version. It's
right.
La moglie di mio padre. Yeah, there's some these are all and I've been looking at some of the other actors and actresses, and these are just amazing. Oh, there's some more. Let me give you some more film names.
Excellent.
And see if you've heard any of them. 3 Tigers Against 3 Tigers.
It's a tiger off.
The Blue-Eyed Bandit. Anyway, let's not get too distracted.
Yes.
Should we go into some lyrics, or have you done enough on why you chose this?
I think I've done enough, thank you. Yes. Yeah, I think this show was actually meant to be about lyrics at one point, wasn't it? So we should probably do something.
Okay. Right. Okay, I'm going for the first one, and I'm going to go deep. I don't give a F about the past, our glory days gone by. All I care about right now is that wee mole inside your thigh. And my confidence might crumble, but my brio is unbroken. Let me loosen all your knots, let our bodies be awoken. I'm going to go for the whole verse. It's been another 7 years, it's showing round the eyes, another 7 years entombed in lethargy and lies. Let's dig out our old clothes and prepare for celebration. I am the son of sleep. All I need's an invitation.
Yes. So.
Oh. Doesn't care about the past or
No,
the good old days. Glory days. Who's that? Is that
Bruce Springsteen?
Bruce.
The boss. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna have to do him at some point, you know.
Yeah.
Although we just did
Hometown.
Sam Fender, which is pretty similar.
The boss plays a Telecaster. So
Yes.
very different.
Yes, true. Yeah, so I think we basically just need to say what the song is actually about. Don't we?
No. Okay. Got it. What is it about?
Well, let's have a quote from Aidan Moffat. He said, "I was reading a book about death rituals because that's the sort of SE books I like to read. Ha 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 ha. The way people dispose of bodies and stuff. That one came up and it was fascinating. I think the belief is the soul doesn't truly pass until the corpse is completely decayed, so you're still within the carcass for a while. So every 7 or 10 years, they exhume the skeleton and hold it up high and dance around it and celebrate. It seemed like a really bizarre and macabre thing to do, but also very sweet. I'm interested in ideas that challenge the way we think about death in the West." And what he was referring to was a practice conducted by the Malagasy people of Madagascar called Famadihana. Famadihana? Famadihana, something like that.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, quite. Do you know anything about Fama? I'm sure you were an expert on that before you heard of this song.
I had not heard of this before, but go ahead. I'm very aware now.
It's a funerary tradition, and it is also known as the turning of the bones, hence the
Ooh.
title of the turning of our bones. And as Moffat said, every 7 to 10 years, that's usually seven, I think, people bring forth the bodies of their ancestors from the family crypts. So they're not buried in tombs or whatever, they're in presumably above ground crypts, I'd have thought. I don't know. And they remove their funerary garb, wrap them in new clothes, and
Cloth. So it's like a silk cloth. That's
yeah,
one of the reasons that it's dying out, because they struggle to get the right type of
right.
cloth.
And they write the names of the deceased on the cloth. And then they dance to live music while carrying the corpses over their heads. I don't know if they get Arab Strap out there to perform for them.
They should do.
Kind of cool. They carry the corpses above. They carry the corpses above their heads and go round and round the tomb several times, and then put them back. This is a celebration of the life lived by the dead person.
Yep. Why do you think it happens every 7 years?
Because seven is such a mystical number and has all kinds of connotations. I have a strange feeling you're going to have a list of things which have the word seven in them.
How long do you think that list is going to be?
7 minutes long.
Probably.
Yes.
So 7, yes. So there are 7 is a magic number. So there are 7 deadly sins. There are 7 virtues, 7 ages of man, 7 arts and sciences, including the quadrivium and the trivium. Not talking about the prog heavy metal group up there. There are 7 days of the week, of course.
Ah.
In Sumerian and Akkadian scripture, which predates even Judaism, there are 7 demons which are symbolized in the well-known constellation the Pleiades, which is commonly known as the Seven Sisters. In
Strange that demons
Judaism,
became sisters.
I don't know. In Judaism, there are 7 branches of the menorah. In ancient times, it was believed there were 7 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and the Moon.
Which one?
Which moon?
Well, they originally thought we had two moons, didn't they?
Oh, I did not know that.
This one, and it's spelled Cruithne, but I think it's pronounced Cruenya, which I actually wrote a song about, but I never got to the point of passing it on to who's doing that.
Is this a Raymond luxury yacht pronunciation spelling?
Something
Don't
like that.
wobble a mangrove.
It was called Crunya, I think, was how it was meant to be. It's a Celtic god or something. But yes, they did initially believe we had two moons.
I did not know that. And there are 7 colors in the rainbow, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. That's right, isn't it?
So the adage goes.
Well, it's wrong
Yeah.
because there is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, violet. There's only 6.
Indigo and violet are the same thing, pretty much.
Exactly. So the only reason that indigo was put in there is that Isaac Newton, who discovered put a prism in front of white light, and you saw the rainbow of colors that make up white light. He wanted the number of colors to equal 7 because Newton, for all his scientific empiricism, entertained many now discredited views surrounding alchemy, mysticism, and the occult.
Oh, yeah, he was a great occultist. A lot of famous
Was it,
philosophers, musicians, etc. throughout the years have been well into that stuff. Yeah.
are you saying he was a massive cult?
I'm saying he was a great occultist.
Okay, so yeah, so
No,
he didn't want 6 colors, he wanted 7. There are also 7 wonders of the ancient world. In Revelations in the Bible, there are 7 heads of the dragon. There are 7 churches, 7 horns, and eyes of the Lamb of God. In the Old Testament, things keep coming in 7s. The 7 spirits resting on Jesse's rod. The 7 heavens containing the different orders of angels. The 7 years Solomon spent building his temple. C.S. Lewis wrote 7 volumes of the Chronicles of Narnia.
I think it's 2 things.
No, but it's just 7, right?
Yes,
7 dwarfs. 7 dwarfs with Snow White. There were 7 brides for 7 brothers. The Sobbin Women by Stephen Vincent Benet, which is based on the legend of the Sabina women. And when William Empson wrote his landmark study of ambiguity in poetry, which is apt for what we're talking about, 1930, one of the most influential works of literary criticism ever published, he listed 7 types of ambiguity.
Gosh. And there's the 7 veils as well.
Oh, I need to redo my list.
Yeah, well,
Anyway.
it's also Sisters Mercy lyric, going back to a band with colours, 7 veils of the 7 sisters. I can't remember which is it.
Oh, yeah.
Body and Soul, that's right.
Everything's linked to 7.
Yes, yeah, right. So,
7 fingers.
Summers, yes. I don't. Where were we? I completely lost them.
So yeah, so you were discussing the funerary ritual,
yes,
ritual that it's all about. So there's a few things that we need to talk about. So he's talking about glory days gone by in the past. He talks about that wee mole inside your thigh.
Yeah, of course, for people who aren't familiar with Scottish vernacular, wee means small, little.
Yes, indeed. So he's talking about the very sort of personalization and in the now rather than Bruce's glory days.
What Professor Dogger told us in the last time we redid this is that she pointed out that that it's about both this funerary ritual and people being dragged out after 7 years, and it's from their viewpoint, the people who are the dead people. But also, it's if you're quite finished, it's also about growing old within a relationship. It seems to be a second theme.
Absolutely. Yeah. He also mentions the word brio. Do you know what brio means?
Vim and vigor, but I presume it's Italian, is it? Or is it French?
I did not look it up, but presumably. But also, it's a manufacturer of Italian toys, which I believe might have been Italian. In fact, we have some in the house. We have trains and train sets made out of wood from Brio. I did check, and we do have quite a large collection of Brio train stuff.
Is your Brio unbroken?
Actually, no. I've got a Brio station that's in the garage because it keeps getting broken. I keep trying to glue it back together and it won't hold. So my Brio is partially broken, but his is not. So he's 7 years older. His confidence has crumbled a bit, but he's still got his vivacity and verve. So the thing that I read about the quote that you mentioned earlier from Moffat, Little Miss Moffat, is that it was about funerals and shagging, not necessarily in the same moment.
From most of the bands we've examined, that's what music's about, and drugs.
Does that say something about us?
Those were the days.
Really? They were days.
Yes. That's,
Yeah. So, anything else to say about verse 1?
well, he mentions he is the son of sleep. I don't actually really understand how this fits with the verse, to be honest. But the son of sleep would classically be considered to be Morpheus, who was the son of Somnus, who was the god of sleep. Morpheus was the god of dreams, hence being the root for the word morphine, which gives you those dreams when it knocks you out. I don't know what that's got to do with the verse and why he needs an invitation. I mean, I thought there was vampires that needed inviting in, which of course are in the video.
I think, and I could be wrong here, but there was a Dali painting which was called something like that. It was the head that was trying to sleep, sort of suspended on the sort of classic Dalian crutch.
Oh.
I can't remember if it was trying to keep him awake.
Right. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yes. Yeah. I'm the son of sleep. All I need is an invitation. Invitation to what?
That's what I said. I mean, I thought that it sounds to me like it's a reference to the vampires in the video. Presumably, this was written before they considered the video, because vampires are meant to need an invitation to come into your house.
Ah, of course.
I don't know if Sons of Sleep do as well. Who knows?
Yep. I've nothing else to say about verse 1. How about you?
No, afraid not. I've spoken enough today. Last week, whenever it was.
Okay, let's go for the next verse. The heart began to putrefy. The heart began to putrefy. Pew, pew, pew. The heart began to putrefy and the body bloated. As our hair and teeth fell out, we did our best to be devoted. But let's squeeze the maggots from our flesh like tiny poison pustules. Abandon all decorum, boil us down to our essentials. We're all just carbon, water, starlight, oxygen, and dreams. And the sun, the moon, the earth, the neighbors long to hear our screams. So if Bacchus is a friend to love, take this cup of kindness. Just one sip, one chug, one kiss can cure us of our blindness. Hear my wanton whispers, my loud, intemperate plea. We've been down amongst the dead men, now you're coming up with me.
That got Professor Dogger really excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on. Professor Dogger. Oh, for God's sake, she's not over. Should we pause for a second?
There we go. So it starts with heart putrefying. So this is presumably talking. I mean, it's a double meaning, right? Yeah. So it's talking about death and these bodies in the crypt, but also is it talking about this relationship?
Yeah,
we tried our best to be devoted as people get older.
As our hair and teeth fell out, well, that happens while you're alive as much as while you're dead.
Yeah.
Yes, and then the lovely squeezing the maggots from our fresh flesh like tiny poison pustules. He definitely has a way with words.
He really does.
Yes. Abandon all decorum. What's decorum?
Decorum is the way of presenting yourself in an orderly manner, I believe.
Yeah, it's basically what's right. If you think of the Wilfred Owen poem, Dulce decorum est.
Pro patria mori. It is true and right to give your life for your country.
So in that sense, it's right, although I very much disagree with it's right to give your life for your country. It's just means that. Professor Dogger, it's very exciting when there's a cat outside. I know. Just ignore. Yes, and boil us down to our essentials. And then he talks about what we're made of in poetic ways: carbon, water, starlight, oxygen, and dreams.
We're all just starlight, huh? Oh God.
Yes, starlight. Which one of my favourite songs by someone else is by Moby, which is "We Are All Made of Stars," which is the same thing. I think that is the theory that we're originally made from. Is it cells transmitted from stars hundreds of millions of years ago?
Yeah.
Something like that. But,
Yes. Sun, the moon, the earth. So he talks about Bacchus. What do you know about Bacchus?
oh, I do remember. This is where the technical problem started last time. Yes, Bacchus was also known as Dionysus. He's the god of wine and vivid social gatherings.
Yeah. So, like you said, he's the god of wine making, orchards, fruit, vegetation, fertility, festivity, insanity, ritual madness, religious ecstasy, and theatre. I mean, it's a good mix, isn't it? You get
Busy guy,
wine,
yeah.
insanity. Oh yeah, and theatre and ritual.
Yeah.
Do you really need a god of ritual madness?
I don't know. Do you need a god of shrubs or whatever you said he was?
Orchards and fruit and
Yeah,
vegetation, yes.
vegetation.
Because in your olden days, and to some extent now, you got to eat, right?
Yeah, I suppose it's praying for crops.
Have you not seen The Wicker Man?
Of course, I've seen The Wicker Man. I have the director's cut somewhere. That's, of course, the proper version with Edward Woodward.
Oh yeah, there's been a remake, right?
Not Nick Cage. Not Cage.
Oh, should be doing that one.
Yeah.
That on Jubilee Street. Perfect.
Different guy. Yes.
Yeah, so he's a god of wine.
Yeah.
Got to get him drunk, right?
In the sense of the lyrics, if Bacchus is a friend to love, then take this cup of kindness. There's a reference to a traditional British drinking song called Down Among the Dead Men, which obviously fits with the theme. It includes the lines, let Bacchus' health round briskly move, for Bacchus is a friend to love. And he that will this health deny, down among the dead men let him lie.
Yeah. So, Dionysius, with his wine, music, and ecstatic dance, free his followers from self-conscious fear and care, and subvert the oppressive restraints of the powerful. His thrysus, fennel stem scepter, sometimes wound with ivy and dripping with honey, both a beneficent wand and a weapon used to destroy those who oppose his cult and the freedom he represents. So you're drinking the wine to get freedom and subvert the oppressive, right?
Yes. Seems reasonable to me.
Which is pretty much similar to your old English drinking song.
Yeah, definitely. We should probably, firstly from that line, we should mention the cup of kindness bit. Where have you heard a lyric about cup of kindness?
I don't remember.
It will be in the traditional Scottish Hogmanay song, Auld Lang Syne. Take a cup of kindness still for the sake of Auld Lang Syne.
Yes.
So that's basically reasserting their Scottishness, I think.
And why not?
Yeah, quite. We should also briefly mention Comus. They have a song on the same album called Here Comes Comus, which is a brilliant riff, a really disturbing video. If you thought this one was bad, don't watch that one. And
can you pause a second?
I can pause. So yeah, after that minor hitch, we're back again. I was talking about Comus. So they have a song called Here Comes Comus on the same album with a very disturbing video. But do you know who Comus was?
I do not.
Comus was in Greek mythology again. He was the god of festivity, revels, and nocturnal dalliances. According to some records, he was the son of Dionysus, who is Bacchus. He's represented as a winged youth or a childlike satyr, and represented anarchy and chaos. So, so this is basically a recurring theme throughout the album. The album, of course, being called As Days Get Dark, as you can see from our really bad image. That's the best I could find for this. Yes. So, We've done that. Just one sip, one chug, one kiss could cure us of our blindness. It's sort of, yeah, as you say, taking the action to rebel against your situation, I would say. And then we've been down among the dead men, which refers back to the song "Down Among the Dead."
Exactly. And wanton, what does wanton mean?
Sort of, well, as you say, hedonistic, doing what you want.
Yeah, I mean, specifically, the one is it's an expression from the mid 15th century. One meaning so it's somebody who does things incorrectly. Officially, it's causing harm or acting without showing care for others, often intentionally. But the secondary meaning is in a sexual manner. So it is one who is ill-behaved, especially lascivious or lewd. And also it means to revel or frolic unrestrainedly. So I think that's kind of the interpretation. Wanton whisper. Who's whispering? Who's whispering?
Is that George Michael song?
Wanton whisper, no, it was Careless Whisper.
Oh, that's right.
It wasn't the chocolate bar either. Wanton whispers.
I fancy one of those now, but I'm not allowed them because I'm glad. I don't know if they make them anymore either, to be honest.
I don't know. Okay, some more words is dig us up and hold us high, raise our carcass to the sky, wrap us up in sequined skin, and we can dance again in sin. Just take my hand and be brave. We'll say goodbye to this grave. Tonight we salsa, we are the rave. We are upcycled and saved. We've got the hay, so let's roll. Surrender all self-control. Quick now, before the bell tolls. Let's sing the sighs from our soul.
Yes, that's a bridgy bit or something. That's different. Yes, but obviously it's talking about the ritual again. Dig us up, the corpses, and hold us high, parade us around while you dance, wrap us up in sequin skin, as you said, new silken robes, and we can dance again in sin. Well, they're not really, but they're being danced around by the relatives. So what's upcycled when it's at home?
It's taking a thing that's old and changing it and reusing it and adding value. It's upcycling, I believe. Right. Upcycling. You take something that's old and repaint it, give it, and you add value to it. Salsa, rave, it's all there. I haven't got much to say about that. It's pretty much.
Before the Bell Tolls, it's For Whom the Bell Tolls by Ernest Hemingway and, of course, Metallica. Yes.
Isn't that World War One book?
I don't know exactly when it was.
No, Spanish Civil War, of course. Yeah, I knew it was some army thing. Wasn't he? Didn't he fight against Franco, Hemingway, or was that?
Lots of people did who weren't.
Orwell. No, it was Orwell, right?
Quite possibly. But lots of British people and Americans fought for Spanish revolutions.
Okay, I'm going for some more words. In the long grass underneath the sun, I saw you. In Tesco, with your buttons undone, I saw you. Hand in hand as we do the school run, I saw you. In a mask with a secret someone, I saw you.
Yeah, I think this is just we talk about the relationship as it's growing old. Before this is stages of the relationship in order.
Should we define Tesco for our international listeners?
Yeah, I don't know how international they are really, but they're the biggest supermarket in Britain.
Are they the biggest? Okay.
So they've quite some way.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of a budget.
Yeah, I mean, it's not budget at all compared to some.
Well, when this was, when was this in 2020? But it has, prior to Lidl and Aldi and those sort of places, it was the budget supermarket, wouldn't you say?
Well, I think you had your Safeways and things before then.
They're regional chains. They're not across the whole country.
Co-op. But I don't know. But I mean, it's pretty expensive now. They've got their finest range and all that. We're not doing an advert for Tesco. That's ridiculous. But they did get a lot of government help at one point, which probably helped them become the biggest. People who were on job seekers allowance looking for work were forced to work for free for Tesco because of that helped their training or something. So
Really?
big scandal.
Oh. Oh. Yeah, so it's a supermarket.
Yeah.
So he has seen this person in the long grass in Tesco with the buttons undone. Why was this person in a supermarket with the buttons undone?
Perhaps he's just undone them for him, or I have no idea.
Yeah. And then they've got kids doing the school run.
Yep. And then the other is seen in a mask with a secret someone. So, bit of an affair there, I think.
Yes.
Sad piano follows that in subtitles.
And then the final words. Are you ready? Let's not be bashful. Don't be oblique. The flesh is willing, but the spirit is weak. Second life is calling. Fill its pull, fill its toe. So let's live now before we're back below.
Yeah.
End of scene. What does oblique mean?
It's the opposite of acute. It's in trigonometry, an angle above 90 degrees, but it means being unfocused, I guess, in the form of actions or thoughts.
Yes, it's neither parallel nor right angles to a specified or implied line. It's a slant. We sat on the city, oblique to the fireplace. I don't know. Would you ever say that?
I probably would, actually, because that's the kind of poncy
That's the
thing
kind
I
of
do.
stuff you would say, but yeah. It's not in common parlance. So it's not expressed or done in a direct way. My favourite oblique, and I just want to squeeze this in somewhere because it needs to be squeezed in, is 11 or 11 Bleak Alpha, which is a very active number station operated by the Polish AW since the early 80s.
Those boys. I thought you weren't meant to know who number stations were created by. I thought they were meant to be mysterious.
Well, I don't know. Nobody knows. But the oblique is this
Hello,
symbol, right?
Mr. Dogger. Thank you.
Oh,
Time for an eyeball wash. Good girl.
It's the sort of slashy thing, right, on the keyboard down there somewhere.
It is. It's next to shift
Oblique.
on the right.
Oblique, yeah. So,
of course, we've probably got different keyboards. I always forget that you have different keyboards on the other side of the world.
Well, interestingly, I do have a different keyboard, but I have it set up in English UK and not English American, so I cannot look at it. If I look at it, my brain will be scrambled.
Is it an AZERTY?
It is an AZERTY, but I have it set up as QWERTY, so and all the symbols are in different locations. So if I look at it, I'm lost.
I've experienced this when working in Holland and
Barrett.
Belgium. No, not Holland and Barrett. What are you trying to get sponsorships to this episode? Holland and Barrett being a health food shop or health supplement shop in the UK. For our international listeners who really care about these things.
Yeah, so don't be bashful, don't be oblique, be direct. I want to do it because I'm failing. My second life is calling. So it's at the end of their life, right? So let's live before we're...
Well, I think he's trying to put some life back into the relationship, possibly after he's seen his partner with a secret someone.
Yeah. It's quite sad, that, isn't it?
Yeah, and of course we've got the biblical quote in the middle of that as well. It's an inversion of a biblical quote.
Flesh is willing, but the spirit is weak.
Yes.
Where's that from?
It's from Matthew 26:41. Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Suggesting that your body will drag you down with carnal desires. Sorry. I don't know what happened to my voice now. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I think it's fantastic. So I think it's actually pretty much a poem. I think this is one of the few we've done that will qualify as a poem.
I found the quote that I wanted from Moffat. I know I've said it before, but I'm going to go in. It's about resurrection and shagging.
Cool. Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Good job. Yes.
It's really good.
Yeah. And I've listened to several of their other albums, and while I don't think there's many songs that I enjoy quite as much as this one, there is definitely some good stuff on them. And they have a new single out now, at the time we're recording, called Bliss, which is very good. And they have a new album which is 2 sentences long, and I can't remember what it is. It's a text message they sent between each other or something, and it's called something weird, but that's coming out soon. So look out for it. Good.
There we go.
Yeah.
So that was a very challenging video to choose.
Yes, it took us 2 weeks to discuss. So obviously, I'm not on the next. I'm not the selector of the next video, so hopefully Professor J will give us something easy. We're not going to talk about that.
I'm certainly not going to choose one that requires 3,500 words.
No. Good choice. Next week we have, or next release, we have our new feature, which is where we each pick a song that we think is deserving of discussion, but we don't necessarily want to do a whole 3-episode spiel on that artist, or it doesn't have a video, so it basically doesn't fit into our normal schema. So we are each picking a song. I can exclusively reveal that mine will be Another Man's Rain by Jackie Levin. Good luck looking it up. Great song there. And it's up to Professor J if he wants to reveal his on them.
Oh, well, I'll keep it a little secret then, shall I?
Very sneaky. So,
okay.
Yeah, so sorry this has been so disjointed. Hopefully we are over our technical problems now.
They won't notice. It'll be so seamless. Seamless.
So, for Professor Dogger, I am Professor A.
I'm Professor J.
And thank you for watching. We appreciate all likes and comments and subscriptions, that's the one. So please do that. And if you want to sponsor us in the form of tea, please get in touch.
Yes, Tesco, Holland and Barrett.
That's well known. I suppose Tesco do make tea, actually. So there you go. There's a thought. Anyway, so see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.